Testing mic 1. Testing mic 2.
Okay.
Clip it on yourself. A magnet, whichever feels better.
Okay.
We'll leave this one on you full time.
Okay.
And Niall will call the room to attention to feel that one. And then the girls
Okay.
can pop it to themselves if they want to talk. Or
Yes.
if they leave it closed, they can talk to themselves. It doesn't pick up on the mic. And then
Okay.
Make sense?
Perfect.
I'm sitting right there if there's any questions.
Yeah. We'll be good. You can have a mic there, Shona, if you want one. If you want to say anything.
It doesn't pick up on you take it out and you put it on live again and it's got Bluetooth. So then you're on and you're live. So if you're
Yeah, Jerry.
otherwise, just take
I think I hand it to, actually I hand it to you. If you're going to talk about the whiskey and friends.
Oh, yeah, I'll bring it
So I'm just going to hold it.
I'm going to stand up as well.
Yes, everything on.
Oh,
No alcoholic, yeah.
oh, so do I have to stay?
Yeah, well, they also don't serve it very cold here.
So I can room? Okay.
It definitely
Okay.
has more
Because I'd like to stand up.
than
Okay.
like
That makes sense. Your head is
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, it's kind of more like. But it's 0, 0,
What was,
so it's.
Police Academy, where you just. Oh no, it was Naked Gun.
Niall, live stream, if there's any questions, he'll throw up to you.
Brilliant, okay.
So we.
Fab.
We live?
All right, folks.
It's not that figure wrong.
Thank you all for coming. Again, as what seems to be part of our ever-increasing number of people from the north of Ireland.
You.
We have our friends from McConnell's, technically the Belfast Distillery, is that correct?
Belfast Distillery Company.
Right. Just before we start on that, a couple of things I want to cover off. Firstly, we now have a full line of tastings for the next few weeks. Matt's going to talk a little bit about that at the end. But there's a very, very special one coming up at the end of August, which I wanted to talk to you about, and Matt wants to talk to you about before you start drinking, so you remember, which is about bringing friends to start to learn how to drink whiskey. Matt, do you want to talk about the event?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just briefly mention it. So it is basically, as Niall said, a bring a friend or bring friends to taste whiskey. It's going to be easily accessible whiskies that you can kind of find anywhere in most stores. So it's not going to be the most high level, high range things in the world. It's going to be about introducing people to whiskey, introducing your husbands, wives, sons, daughters, friends, family, partners in crime to whiskey in an easily accessible way. There'll be an opening drink, there'll be a blend, a malt, a peated malt, a grain, a pot still, and a cask strength, and a little take-home gift from our friends at Two Stacks that may or may not come in a can, for those of you who know what that is. And just bringing friends who are not members of the society, who are interested in becoming part of the society, bring them along. If they don't like it, they can leave. It's not too expensive. The tickets will also be discounted compared to a normal ticket. So if you're interested in that, there'll be no limit on the amount of members, guests you can bring. So if one person wants to bring 79 guests, then nobody else can come along. 79 guests themselves. So just keep an eye out for it. It'll be launching next week, and just I think it'd be a fun way to get more people in. Because not that I don't love you guys, I'd love to have there be more people for us to love. So yeah, the last Thursday in August.
More people for bottle share as
More
well.
people for bottle shares and more money for casks that we can buy. So now, do you want to introduce McConnell's?
Yeah, just before we do that, one other thing which I want to gauge some opinion on, and including people online, which I don't know if any of you are aware of this, but Nick Ryan from Thumb and Gate also runs a Spirit Educational Trust. He's one of a small number of authorized WESIT trainers. WESIT is actually I can't remember the acronym. Wine Spirits Educational Trust. And a number of years ago, they split the WESIT wine and spirits into wine and into spirits. He runs the spirits one, and we were talking to him about the potential for running a specific Whiskey Society one, which could be in person, could be level 1, which is a one-day introduction into all spirits. Whiskey is actually a relatively small component of the entire thing, but there's a lot of commonality in terms of production techniques. And crucially, you get to sample lots of spirits. And then the level 2 is a more in-depth version of that. He's also starting, and by the way, I've done the WESIT in wine, and I have to say it's been fantastic. It's really had a lot, and I've signed up to his level 2 in August. He's also starting in October a new certification in Armagnac for an Armagnac enthusiast certificate, as it is called. This is the very first one he's starting, so he's also gauging who's interested in that. So that one would probably, I doubt we will be able to get an Irish Whiskey Society specific version of it. So what I want to do now is just gauge interest. So for the first one, for WESIT and Spirits, if people in the room and online, just an indication of it, you don't have to sign anything. It's just an indication of, are you interested? Hands up. Okay, that's like half the room. Are people saying online?
There's a lag.
Okay. And then the second one, for the Armagnac, is there any interest in that? For the Armagnac one, actually, that's great. I was going to say, because we may actually, okay.
The first one though.
Okay, great. Right, so that's our annual order of business. Very excited to have McConnell's here. I went up to see these guys and bought the T-shirt earlier this year.
Been there.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got Graham, Sinead, and Shauna. Two S's always confuse me. Here, and first of all, if you haven't been, and if you are going to Belfast, you should go visit. It is a really fabulous tour space, and you can also choose to go to the jail before or after, depending on your mood and how much whiskey you therefore want to drink. But a really impressive operation. And tonight's tasting, we're really trying to pick out where I think McConnell's are really, I think, strong now, which I think is in what they do with casks and blending. When Graham very nicely let me try some of his new make a few months back, I was blown away because it's some of the nicest new make I've ever had. And you'll see that today. It's very vibrant, very fruity. And then the top row, which we're going to do and then have a break, is really about what's current. And so we've got the cognac and sherry finish, and I really thank you for bringing out a cask sample of the sherry finish, just to give you an indication of what the difference is. And then we're going to flip, and on the second half, going to start with new make. Going to start with new make that has been in bourbon cask for 2 years, and that is just going to show you just what is beginning to happen to the whiskey after only 2 years in terms of taste. And then we're going to finish on what for me is an absolute cracker of a whiskey, which is the Old Cromac award-winning single cask, 20-year-old single malt, which is a joy. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Graham, Sinead, and Shauna.
Thank you, Niall.
Thank you, Niall.
Thank you. Fabulous. It's lovely to be back in this room. I was first here, I don't know when, years ago, 10 years ago maybe, or 9 years ago, with my good friend Jarlath, and presenting some whiskies that then became super successful critically. And I'm really pleased to be here to present the McConnell's range tonight. We haven't brought, as Niall said, we haven't brought the entire range because we're doing things at the kind of entry level with a 5-year in bourbon cask that we haven't brought tonight because we're sort of starting the story 2 or 3 steps in. So we're starting the story with the cognac cask finish. And the history of our business, I guess, we can talk about 1776 and the spirit grocer shop that sprung up in Cumber, I believe, with Hugh McConnell, and then subsequently developed into a distilling business, and quite a big distilling business in Belfast, with the building of the Cromac distillery in 1899, which is located about 2 miles away from where we are today. I can nearly look out the window from the second floor and see the building where it is on the banks of the Lagan near Belsonic, if anyone's into music, near Ormeau Park. And like many of the distillers in Ireland, by the time the 1930s arrived, it was time to kind of, I suppose, well, not time to close the doors, but time to nearly give up. And unfortunately, the world events and world trade situation just brought it to a close. So it lay dormant for many years, from 1936 all the way through to the new team. McConnell's came along 2017. It took a couple of years then from 2017 through to 2020 to relaunch the brand. So the brand was relaunched in 2020 with a 5-year blend. Very straightforward grain and malt blend with a high malt content, aged 5 years. That's the green label McConnell's. It's not here tonight. And that's obviously sourced whiskey, like many of our contemporaries, but has done very well. Critically, it's done very well. Commercially, we're in 45 countries now around the world exporting. as well. So we're pleased with the progress, but we're never satisfied with what we're putting out there, and we want to push the boundaries a wee bit. So we're out of sequence in terms of timing, but in terms of tasting, this is the right one to start with. This is the cognac finish. So this is the latest release in the McConnell's trilogy of 5-year blends. So if you just have a wee look at it, the colour is nice amber colour there. There's nothing too extreme going on. We use a high malt content, and it's in around sort of 40% of the blend. And if we were to taste the 5-year before this, you'd be very familiar with the bourbon characteristics, those vanilla, butterscotch notes, little bit of white pepper. The change that the cognac cask actually produces is it's quite marked, and it takes it in a completely opposite direction nearly from a sherry cask finish. So it actually, I think it dries it up. It actually creates, it takes away some of the sweetness. So if we give it a nose, it's quite subtle on the nose. There's just that kind of soft, sugary sweetness, and a little bit of fruit on the nose there. Let's have a taste. It's 46% ABV, by the way, so just a little bit higher than the standard bottling. But just that sort of pineapple, fresh fruits, a little bit of caramelization there as well, yeah. And the dryness makes it, to me, one of these whiskies that you just like to sip and savor, and just spend a wee bit of time with. This, if you want to talk about the casks, we've used casks here that have had cognac in them for 20 years. So the life of that cask, it's had spirit acting on the wood for all that time.
So this isn't a season for 2 years.
No. I've learned my lesson. I did try. I suppose many of you know that I was with the team at Ecklandville before, and their cask finish legacy or the cask finish kind of legend, I suppose, is off the charts. And that was, we used to just go out and find and spend as much money as possible, basically, on the cask. So whenever I arrived at McConnell's, I was like, okay, I need to be careful and not spend too much money. Actually, I did a wee bit of experimentation, and it's very difficult to get the result from a seasoned cask. And I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not wrong, but when you're a small producer like we are, and you want to make an impression, it's very important that you tick all the boxes in terms of flavour. So I did do a very short stint I tried a few seasoned casks. I just couldn't get the result that I wanted. And that's maybe more to do with the Oloroso cask that we use for the sherry finish, because this.
How long have they been the cognac?
Just over about 9 or 10 months. Just over 9 months. Yeah. And again, this is one of 35. This is the scale that we're on. This is one of 35 casks that were bottled just at the end of last year. So it's very small numbers. They're 250s, hogsheads. Yeah.
Do you have a specific producer of the barrier?
I can't say. Okay. So we have a really good relationship with the guys in Dernua and also the guys in KBB. So the two cooperages in Ireland. Paul at Dernua. He knows, if I call him up and I kind of try and describe as best I can what I'm looking for, and he can match in with what I'm looking for, and then I ring him 5 months later and say, can I have exactly the same thing again? And he's, I'll try. But
So when you spend 10 months finishing that, how many uses of that cognac cask will you then get? I know it's not quite the same as a first fill, second fill bourbon.
Yeah.
But it's not one and done, I guess.
No, it's not. But I do have a kind of wood policy there where I won't use any more than a third second fill cognac casks for the next bottling. And to be honest, we're actually in the we haven't even bottled that yet. So I don't know what the result's going to be. So I need to be able to, so I ordered a new batch of first fills in the last few months, and we have them in, they're all casks now. But I just held back a third of the disgorged casks, refilled those, and we'll see what happens. So I'm not too sure. And I think with cognac, it's an unknown quantity for me, for sure. I've never done cognac before. I'm punching the microphone here. All the guys online are like, ugh. So I'm not really sure what the result could be. Is it going to give us enough of a sort of footprint of flavour on there? We'll see what happens. I guess it's the kind of, there's no textbook or spreadsheet for this. We just need to find out what happens. Thankfully, I've got a fair proportion in first fill, for us, first fill or first use. So that's my kind of banker, So if we only bottle 2/3 of the liquid this year, Shauna's having a panic attack because she's sold them all. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll order some more. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to taste them in a couple of months. And even this is down to the level of detail that we go into. We've got these all stacked up against the south facing wall in the warehouse. So that's the one that gets the heat cycles. And this is I think that's where you've got to go with this type of bottling and this kind of liquid. You've got to go there. It's one thing having the grain and the malt stored in your warehouse wherever it needs to go, but with the finishes, we need to handle them in another level, in a different way. But hopefully you agree. If anyone's tasted the 5-year McConnell's, hopefully you'll know it's quite a classic, sweet butterscotch vanilla flavour profile. It's straight down the line, but this is actually starting to introduce now a little bit of dryness, a little bit of kind of, as I say, pineapple tart characteristics coming in there, Yeah. It has that lovely kind of, it's a light toastiness, isn't it? Yeah. And whenever I taste them back to back, the 5-year and this, it's amazing how different. It feels like it's moved it in a different direction rather than just changed it. It's taken it in a completely different direction. So hopefully that's a nice one for starters. I'm going to have one more little sip. Forgive me if I don't just neck it all, because I'll fall over by dram 4.
There's a few heavy hitters coming as well.
So there we are. That's the cognac finish McConnell's. If you come to see us at the distillery, we've got some lovely rooms that you can go off into. Just give us an extra couple of pound. And our mixologists will take you through step by step, making a cocktail. And you can actually say to them, I want to do something with the cognac finish McConnell's, and we have recipes for the different cocktails that you can try. And you're sat in a room there, and honestly, it's like heaven. You've got the music going. Hopefully, Sam's doing your cocktails. Sam is our 5-star tour guide. She's brilliant, and you can shake your cocktails and try them out, have a bit of a party. But I think that's really where, it's one thing to have a lovely, sophisticated flavour profile. Yes, I think we delivered that. But we can also do the fun stuff as well, and that's lovely for me that we can do, we can be almost, all across the board. So yes, that's our cognac finish. Any questions about cognac finish?
Why isn't there more of it?
Well, I
Thank you, Niall. I actually didn't even pay him to say that.
that's my fault. Yeah,
Looking for you a bit like Jimmy.
that's my fault.
Like Lambie does one, but they're
Yeah, I mean, you know, if I'm being really open, you know, I just don't want to continue the road that I've been going down for the last 10 years. You know, I need to change it up. I think it. Yeah. Well, actually, that's already. Yes. I know. That's already been done. I don't know. I'm not here to promote other folks' whiskey, but there's a cask of Grand Mole Armagnac that's just finished whiskey that's just been cast. Google it. It's fantastic stuff. It really is. Someday we'll do a McConnell's one.
Have you put any of your own new make stuff into, like, not into bourbon cask, but into, like, let's say, the cognac cask?
No, not at this stage. And I guess this is another lesson I've learned. I really believe that the basis for a good whiskey is to spend some time in a bourbon cask at the start of its life. So, you know, I think it just builds that base framework of flavour and character that then we can go and work with. So I am tempted, and I suppose it's hard for me. You know, I'm trying to steer a pathway from the values of McConnell's are very much brand driven. So, you know, our conversations are all about building the McConnell's brand around the world. So for me to kind of sneak off into the corner, and I probably could do it, but I don't know if probably I'd get found out. But no, I haven't done it yet, but I really do. I think it's important to have that grounding, you know, and 3 or 4 years in a bourbon cask is a really good grounding for an Irish whiskey. And I think the distillate that we make is so delicate and complex at the same time. It needs that time in the bourbon cask to give it the base. Who knows? I mean, look, we've tried something there tonight from a little cask that has blown my socks off, you know. But one of them went in one direction, and one in a completely different direction, and one's a superstar and one needs more time. And I suppose that's again the beauty of maturation. You just don't really know what you're going to get, you know. So let's move on to our sherry cask finish. So this is dram number 2, centre of the top row.
Of your core range, which are the most selling? Is it the basic 5-year-old, or is the sherry popular?
No, it's absolutely our 5-year-old, our signature cask. Yeah, it's it would be by far our bestseller. It's our go-to, I suppose. It's, for want of a better word, our entry level. It's not an entry level, but it's ours. And then the sherry cask would kind of be a slight step above.
Price of that is about 50 to 60 quid, is it?
It's just
price
under.
of the
I just had it on it.
Yes, so
Cognac cask?
49, isn't it?
59 in the Celtic Whisky Shop.
Yes.
Yeah. John is going to say it's because I don't make enough of the other types that she has to sell all the.
Yeah, the cognac cask might go up. It's a very short supply of it.
It's funny because I got a dark pleasure from seeing just that tiny little pallet in the corner of the warehouse. I'm like, ha
I'm glad someone gets it.
oh, but not next year. So this is where it started for me with McConnell's. Actually, this one, our sherry cask finish. I arrived in McConnell's in January 2023, and the first Kerry. I used to work for Kerry. Kerry yeast. No, the first sherry cask bottling had just been done, and I remember John Kelly, my boss, looking me straight in the eye, you know, and saying, "What do you think of that? You know, what do you think of that sherry cask finish, McConnell's?" And I'm like, well, it probably could do a bit better than that. So it was so over sherried. I thought it just needed a little bit of bringing back, you know, and everybody at the time was telling us this is fabulous, and I think it was because there was such a movement of, you know, people just wanted more and more and more and more and more and more sherry. You know, it was just, that was the way things were in 2023. And I kind of vowed to make it more subtle. And so this is the result.
This is quite sherry.
It's very sherry, exactly. Can you imagine what that, in fact, I've drunk all, I had to drink all the whatever was left of the first bottling so that it couldn't go for sale.
Such a hard job.
Yeah, it was like, I'm doing you a favour. Yeah, I'm doing you a favour. But yeah, it's very in your face. It is. I totally agree. But this is probably a 7 compared to the 10 that we had at the time. So
Is it still the 40% malt?
yes. So this is exactly the same 5-year blend, grain and malt, as the green label and the cognac finish and the purple label, or is that burgundy? Or burgundy maybe, of the sherry cask finish. And this is the one that I learned my lesson on with seasoned cask, because I ordered a few, had some problems, actually had to tell John that we weren't going to bottle anything that summer of sherry cask because it wasn't ready, it wasn't good enough. And you could see the the angst, the angst in his eyes. Maybe I should listen to Graham, but surely he's got to be wrong. We need to sell whiskey here. But we were able to work it out, but it involved actually ordering up some more hogshead. So we went, the original sherry cask finish was in butts, in Oloroso butts. And you know, I wasn't around, so I don't know, but it was really like, it was a punch in the face, which is great. Like I actually loved it, but you could tell that maybe it could be a challenge for most people. So we got hogsheads. We bought some hogsheads in instead after I'd done my seasoned cask experiment. Got through to the summer, so this was July, August 2023, and I did my tasting. I remember sitting in the house. I took all the wee sample bottles home like this, and I was sat in the house on a Sunday afternoon. You know that sinking feeling? You know, I've tasted 5 or 6 of them, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to bottle this. It's not, you know, the balance isn't there, the integration isn't there. You know, there's nothing there's nothing good I can say about this stuff yet. So thankfully, John, and this is, I suppose, this great thing about our team. He didn't railroad me into putting something in a bottle. He said, okay, well, wait, you know, let's get it right. So we got some more hogsheads from the guys in Dernua. Off we went, transferred the liquid in, put some new blend from bourbons in as well. And by October, we had liquid that we could stand over, that we could bottle. And I'm really proud to say that next 2 years in a row, this was the Irish Whiskey Award age statement blend winner. And Jameson had to bring an 18-year-old to beat us last year. And it's very expensive, 18-year-old as well. But the flavour on this, for me, and it was a blend. Oh, it was a blend. For me, you know, there's a few whiskies for me. You can go into the shop, get your 45 quid out or 50 euro out, and put it on the counter, and you know you're going to get a flavour delivery. And this is one whiskey that does that for me. There's a few others on the list that I would have in the house. You know. I'll stop talking, let's have a nose. It literally is spice and Christmas in a glass. The nutmeg and sweetness is just coming right out at you. And
It's got the must.
yes, exactly. It's almost like you're standing in the warehouse, isn't it? You know, it's just got that rustic. I think rustic is a really good word because it brings that kind of age, that old oaky kind of character there, and you can nearly envision that you're standing there looking through.
So it was like about 9-10 months in the sherry, but then you also brought in some like non-sherry aged in. So what's the break?
Well, nothing here hasn't been in it. All of the double negatives, nothing here hasn't been in a sherry cask. We did bring in some new 5-year blend to go into the new hogsheads. So we had like 80% of them were was the liquid that we'd tried already in the season cask. Transferred all that out. Had to set some of it aside because it had gone wrong, and I still need to fix that problem somehow. And then about 20% of it was new 5-year blend straight into the new hogsheads. And yes, yeah. Well, shorter because we had to get to the bottling stage. So, but in total, 9-12 months seasoned and hogsheads. So we were literally in the bottling hall with the casks all laid out and sampling one at a time. And I'm like, okay, that can go. No, hold that one back. That can go. That can go. And then got them all into a vat and got it together. You know, so it's the trials, the the anxiety is hard to manage, but hopefully the result is something that you all enjoy. I mean as I say, the flavour delivery, the complexity, and remember we're still on a 5-year blend here. You know, this is something that I think drinks beyond its years, you know, and beyond the fact that it's a blend.
But I think the 46% is a really good decision as well. That also really
Yes, it just brings it into a new kind of level.
Is that a hard commercial decision? Because, like, you know, I guess every single percentage increase in ABV has a genuine cost associated with it.
Well, there is, yes, and there's duty and all the rest of it, and you have to do your sums. But really, at the core, we just want to deliver a great tasting whiskey. So for us to come out at 42, there's a very subtle difference in the flavour profile, and we want to take it to the next level, you know. So yes, of course there is cost involved. There's less yield out of the casks and what have you. But I think for this deserves to be bottled at 46, you know, non-chill filtered, and bring the full picture of the finish to the fore. So.
And I think, like, ultimately, whatever commercial come up against the distiller, you know, it doesn't stand a chance. Believe me, I've tried. So yeah, I don't think commercially it's ever been a discussion to.
I'm just a weak.
To lower the alcohol content. Well, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Oh, I laughed too readily there. I get what you're saying. No, it's one of the great pleasures of working for McConnell's. You know, we have a very limited casks stock of really old stuff, and once a year I go in and taste it and I make my notes. And I was sat with John probably three months ago now, and he said, right, talk me through your notes. And I'll go, okay, I think this one we can bottle. I'd like to take these 3 and put them in the PX casks, and these 3, we're going to leave those for a while. And he said, okay. I'm like, you know, if this was Diageo, there would be a conference, you know, a decision-making process that would take weeks. Probably some fairly, you know, big hitters getting involved and trying to steer the conversation. So it's lovely for me to have that freedom of control. And hopefully, you know, I don't mess it up. I'll try not to. Hopefully what you taste tonight, I'll tell you that I'm not going to.
If there's PX casks there, then that means there's something coming down the line.
I haven't bought them yet. But PX is definitely in our future in some way. In a very limited way.
It's hard to avoid cherry.
PX is so great. It really is. I mean, the story, I mean, there's been a few casts that I've won awards with Dumvilles, and, you know, some of those were never used before. And you know, I was talking to the guys in Darnau a few years ago. The first win on the Palo Cortado, apparently the phone was on, you know, was hot the next morning. People looking for Palo Cortado casts, but but very few had used them before, you know. And that's why I'm so proud to be able to tell the stories of how those whiskies came about. You know, that those whiskies came about because we just tried stuff and then tasted it and then said, okay, let's go, let's do that, you know. It's from here, it's from the heart, you know, and don't even get me when I overshare. Because we've had a lull in McConnell's for a while. We haven't been distilling, you know. It's been a tough time, you know, and you all know this, I'm sure. It's been a tough time for everybody in Ireland, and we finally started to distill again there recently, a few weeks ago, and I was in bits. I really was, and it means the world to me. You know, I get up in the morning to come in and get those steam valves open. That's what I'm here for. Yes.
You're doing the distilling in the old prison, isn't that right?
Yes.
I'm curious why you haven't leveraged that standout uniqueness, that obvious uniqueness. For example, I've been to the distillery, it's a tremendous venue.
Yes.
That I'm sure everybody here is going to visit, or is planning to.
Yes.
You should do. But yet it's totally underplayed, I notice.
It is.
On the bottom there, it's Forth River Business Park or something, on the small print of the label.
Yes, you've probably got a previous version of the label. Yeah.
I'm interested in that whole story, which is so important to your whiskies, your source whiskey. 5-year-old, you're testing, you're trying, you're innovating.
Yes.
You've put a lot of work and spend into the bottle design and labeling. It's an amazing labeling kind of equation you have on there, which is vital together. But yet that kind of clear, everybody who talks about the distillery talks about Crumlin Road Jail.
Yes.
I mean, everybody in Belfast who's up there for the weekend for the whisky tasting.
Yes.
McConnell's, they're up at the prison or they're up at the jail.
Yes.
It all goes hand in hand.
Yes.
That part of the story, wherever so far this evening, kind of reflects even on the labelling, which surprised me. I thought we might see Crumlin Road Jail.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain it?
life behind bars. It's quite deliberate, and I guess it's a sensitive area for folks who live in Belfast. It still is. You know, we were through so many difficult years from the late 60s into the mid 90s, and the Crumlin Road Jail was an iconic building during that time in our living memories of difficult times. And our ambition is to put the McConnell's brand at the forefront. So I guess it's a wee bit like if you're in a pub in Belfast on a Friday night and you meet somebody, you just get chatting to somebody. You know, it's still a thing for us where we don't really get into the religion thing or the troubles thing, because we all just want to get on with life and move on and be positive, you know. So there's a wee bit of that kind of element to it, and I understand your question, and I think it's still something that, you know, we continue to ask ourselves the question: how much more would we?
It's the heritage button rather than the religion button. It's definitely not a religion.
Yes.
It's the heritage button. Your market's international, so
yes.
It's a powerful button if you dare to press it.
If we yes. It's like that. I don't know if you've ever seen the Bruce Dickinson. Bruce Dickinson's the lead singer for Iron Maiden. His biography is called "What Does This Button Do?" And it's like, yes, our team has come from corporate history. Our careers have all been Kerry, Heinz, Diageo, Smurfit, Dale Farm, Bank of Ireland. so you know, we're struggle. Maybe I shouldn't say we're playing it safe. We're being very careful about that messaging, and I guess as time goes on and as generations age, I think the Crumlin Road Jail the Victorian heritage will become more of an importance in the kind of ratio of memories. But I know in my living memory, when I was in P5, I fell off the swing, broke my arm, had to go to the Mater Hospital, and I remember going through 3 checkpoints to get there, and my arm was hanging off, and my mum's in the car going, I need to get and that the Mater's next door to the Crumlin Road Jail, so it's in our living memories. So hopefully you understand that it's not something that we would just go, it's not like the black taxi tours in Belfast where we go and look at the murals. It's about McConnell's, it's about a whiskey brand. So hopefully we've got the balance right, but I do get what you're saying. I think yes. I think let's keep it under review, and that international marketing is a good point. Yeah.
What I will say though is that whilst we do our best to be respectful of the history and what has happened there in the past, I suppose we do our best to be respectful of it. For any of you who have been to the distillery, you'll notice the V columns, and we try to take the V columns into as much as we can, and perhaps you will see those on the labels at some point in time. We are using that in a lot of our branding, so it's kind of if you need to know with the V columns, but that's more than a part of our future and what we have done with the prison. So yeah, that's definitely something that you will see in some of our marketing. You will see going forward, so that we can try to be tasteful and respectful of what we've done to kind of with the whole refurbishment, really.
Yeah.
So
I actually had I had the Irish Times come in for an interview about a year and a half ago, and they brought an ex-inmate with them. And I had quite a tough conversation with that guy because he wasn't overly pleased that we had turned the place into a distillery, and he was like, I was being myself, of course, come and look at my lovely stills, and and he did make the point very well. He said, you've got to remember, people suffered in this building, and just that one sentence, I was like, and it's still a thing for us, that we acknowledge the past and the purpose of that building being put there, and we really want to celebrate the positive use of it now. It's early days for us, though. I think we're still finding our way to get that message across. Sorry?
Sharing tips on how they made alcohol.
Well, actually, he did actually, yeah. And so. If any of you are familiar with the prison system in the north in the 70s and 80s, hopefully not. Yeah. The layout of the Crumlin Road Jail is designed using the panopticon. What do you call it? Concept. So there's a central circular hallway vestibule where the prison guards would have been stationed, and there's 4 wings that branch off that. And the panopticon design was used because, in theory, a prison guard in the centre of that circular area could hear and see anything that was going on in the 4 wings, which makes it really hard to make alcohol because you just get spotted, basically. So they were able to. There was lots of inventive things that were done. So you had a fruit parcel allowed every week, but the fruit would arrive injected with vodka. So the apples, oranges, etc. Just before you don't want. You've got to do this in a timely fashion. So as you arrive just outside to go visiting, you inject the vodka in there, because you'll break down the structure of the cell walls of the fruit quite quickly. So apples, oranges, pears, bananas, whatever. And the fruit parcels were consumed in minutes in the visitor centre. And there was baker's yeast smuggled in also, that was passed in the visitors areas. And like, so a wee sachet of yeast, like anyone who's a brewer here or a distiller will know, you can do a lot of damage with a wee sachet of yeast that size. You know, what we do in a 10,000 litre fermenter fits into that size there. So they would take this and mash up bread, whatever, you know, carbohydrates are left over. If you spit in there, the amylase starts to break down the starches. So then you've got something that's fermentable, and then throw the brewer's yeast in or the baker's yeast in. Put it on there was a 4-inch pipe that heated the cells. So get it near the pipe, under your bed so it's not seen, and then a few days later, fantastic. I actually said to the guy, "How did that taste?" And he said, "When you're banged up, it tastes amazing." So there you go. And we've had other folks in as well. Some of them are lovely, and they're just like, "Oh, I used to live there. You know, I lived there for 10 years." And you're like, and that's the end of the conversation. But the guy who came with the Sunday Times that day, he was pretty intense, and you've got to respect that. You know, I don't think, you know, unfortunately in our history in Ireland, you know, you weren't always behind bars because you deserved to be there. You know. I think that's an unfortunate truth. So we have to remember that and be respectful of that too. Anyway, let's move on to dram number 3. So this is actually now, what I wanted to demonstrate with this one is, whenever we do our finishing on we've used these lovely Oloroso casks, as I was saying, you know, they're not seasoned, they come from the Bodega. Paul looks after that for me and Dernua, and we'll vat up a nice big vat of blended whiskey at cask strength, and we'll put them into these casks, however many we're doing, 70 casks maybe at a time, 100 casks at a time, and then somehow they go off in 4 different directions, and I don't know why that is, but it happens. So of the sherry casks, the language that I've tried to develop to describe them is, we have the kind of classic sherry flavour, and then more perfumey, and then more woody or spicy, and then really spirity.
So you're putting exactly the same.
And it's the same.
Distillate.
It's the same tank. Yeah.
Into ostensibly exactly the same sherry.
Yes. And it's the same vat of liquid that goes in there. So this is a example, and this liquid actually we've chosen one of our sherry casks and we've kind of set it aside as an example of a flavour profile that's not necessarily what you taste in the previous dram. It's more, yes, exactly. It's more delicate. It's nearly on the perfume note kind of side. Now this is cask strength as well, by the way, so please remember that. What are we at here? 60, 62, yeah. So it's there's a little bit more alcohol oomph going on here, but it just demonstrates this is what we're dealing with. It's not A, B, C, 9 months, 12 months, buy these casks, this happens. It's actually, how do I deal with all this variation? You know, and I don't know if it's easier when you're in a big distillery or easier when you're small. I'm not sure, but I suppose it's probably the same questions you ask. But this is, you know, so now we've got an award-winning 8-statement blend, bottled at 46%. I can just keep making sure that it tastes the same every time we bottle it. So this is one of the sort of 4 elements. More delicate, less wood, spice, musty rusticness, but a vibrant flavour profile. It's almost like a confection. It's like somebody's gone and created a sweetie kind of. Yeah, exactly. Do you know what's coming into my head? Do you know the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang film? you know the old car, the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang film, and the girls singing Truly Scrumptious, and they're making these wee red and white sweets. That's what's coming into my head now. I've never said that before in a tasting. I don't actually have a script. Yeah. I've had a wee bit of a sore throat this week, so I'll not sing this week. I'll maybe do a wee bit of Rod Stewart later on, but no Truly Scrumptious. But doesn't it just demonstrate the variation that's out there? And I've tried to summarise in sort of 4 general kind of directions, and that's but there's more variation than that. But you've got to arrive at some point and say, okay, that's an oaky one, that's a perfume one, etc. And then what we do is we'll choose how many of each of these go into the bottling. So we'll try and arrive at a ratio that's going to work. We'll take a bottle of the last bottling, standard bottle, all labelled up in the lab. This is what it should taste like, and then we'll compare the two, and hopefully they'll come close. Now, if you're Middleton or Bushmills, that's really important. But if you're McConnell's, you can almost take you can take value from that. You can say, do you know what? It just wasn't possible for us to match the last bottling. So this is actually this is nicer. Exactly. This is nicer, and we've actually learned a bit, and we've moved on, and then we might regress next year. But it's lovely. It's like a band recording that difficult second album. It's all the elements that you put together for the debut that sold, whatever. You try and find those again, and maybe they're not just as grabbable as you thought they were. But thankfully now, I suppose I've been around long enough to be able to kind of stitch it together, and I hope I don't get to the point where I've got all, I get to go to the warehouse and I've only got one type of sherry cask left because I've avoided using those for the last 5 years, Oh God, now I've got to try and find a way to make this work. But it's the beauty of it. It's, it's lovely to be able to stand up and say, so far we've got it pretty consistent, but don't hold your breath. It might be different next year, but hopefully nicer. So that's great. Cheers for the first half. Hopefully that's halfway there. My timing, by the way, is nuts. Is it okay? Do you want to see me trying to catch a train? It's just a nightmare. It's a mess. But hopefully you've enjoyed that. That's a single cask, by the way. It's a cask pull that we do from the warehouse, and we keep it. We've actually kept it in the corner because if you come and do a connoisseur tour, we'll talk about a wee bit more about the history of Belfast and all the projects that went on all over the country to ensure that Belfast was able to continue to grow and operate as an industrial powerhouse. The Silent Valley Water Project, for example, Watertown, in the early 1900s all the way through to the 40s. We talk about the old Cromac distillery. We steal a wee bit from Athy, from the maltings, because Matthew Minch built his maltings in Athy in 1846, the same year as the jail was built, so that's a nice wee tie-in. But that's some of the sort of the script of the connoisseur tour. But these liquids are included in the connoisseur tour as well. Okay.
All right, folks. So it's currently at 25 past. So if you come back for 20 to 9, if you want to take a quick comfort break downstairs, folks online, just skip forward 15 minutes. All right? I'll give this back to you. Thank you.
We are now.
All right.
We're now going to start on the second chapter, I guess we would say, which is going to be a little bit more of the new and the quite literal remake. So great.
Thank you. I'll try not to cry. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees. Okay, so this is McConnell's triple distilled single malt new make right in front of us. Am I right in saying it's at 50%? So when we bring it off the stills, it's a little bit stronger. It usually comes off around 82-ish. So we've watered it down a little bit so you can appreciate the breadth of the flavour profile. This is, as I said earlier, this is the reason I get out of bed in the mornings. Imagine being the accountant at McConnell's and having to look at me weep every Tuesday afternoon in the management meeting. You know, at the quality, whiskey quality, Graham, how is it? Oh, it's really good. It's really good. Distiller's tears. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, what a privilege it is. First of all, to be able to come to work in such an iconic building in Belfast. You know, we've taken a wing of this Crumlin Road Jail. It's 18,000 square feet if you add it all up over the 3 floors. And we've turned about a third of that into distilling space. So we've got 500,000 litres of pure alcohol capacity. So that's a 5,000 litre wash still for the techies amongst you, 3,000 litre intermediate still, and 3,000 litre spirit still. Not quite right, but that's what was ordered back in 2010. And that's what I've tried to balance out and make work. It actually balances quite nicely. So it's a 1 tonne mash capacity. It's Forsyth's kit as well, so 3 Forsyth stills. I don't know if do you know how the concept of the distillery started? Maybe everybody doesn't know this story. So back in 2010, I think it was, we had a lottery winner in Belfast, bus driver, name of Peter Lavery, from the Short Strand in Belfast, and he won 14.5 million on the lottery. Jumped in the car with Kieran Deasley, who's a very decorated architect from Belfast, like architects, and took a drive around and said, Kieran, my dream is to build a distillery in Belfast, and let's find a place to do it. So they... well, I don't know what it was. Let's say I was... Here, I'll tell you what. For romanticism, there they were in the black cab. on a really Tuesday afternoon, and the Crumlin Road Jail had just been reopened on specific days for tours by ex-inmates. So it was not a tourist attraction. It was an old place that still had the corrugated metalwork up, you know, to further kind of fortify the walls and the fences. So it really probably wasn't much to look at. And the demand for those tours by those ex-inmates was so high that the Department for Infrastructure decided, let's actually open up Sea Wing and make a tourist attraction of this. So all around that time, it was just a kind of a new idea, a new concept, even just to have people come and visit the place. And to have a distillery in there was lots of excitement, obviously, about the tours and all the rest. And to have a distillery in there was just another, you know, icing on the cake. We're going to develop this site to be one of the key attractions in Belfast. So, great. Then reality kicks in, and you've got to try and do it. And you know, for years there was talk of this distillery coming, and there was various problems. And issues and difficulties, to the point in 2017 then where the now board, who are based in New York, New Jersey, came in and started to put things together. So the McConnell's brand was not part of the original concept. That was actually the input from our now chairman, James Amin, who said, for this to work, we need to it needs to be a brand home, and there needs to be a brand. I think the guys in the original company had been clever enough to go and get the design right, or the rights to the names of a whole lot of different brands. McConnell's was one of them, and there was a few others. And that was, so McConnell's was selected as the one that had the most, I suppose, equity to it. It was a real, true story. It was a success story. Eleanor McConnell herself, in the times whenever women in Victorian times, didn't have all the rights that males would have had. She grew the business and made it into a global business, and handed it over to her sons eventually. So a fantastic story, and it's not lost on me. Every time I come in on a Monday morning, I'm like, this is not, coming in and you see the scale of the building, the old iron stairwells and the slate walkways, and we've kept lots of the original features, so you know exactly where you are. It's not like walking into a square room that's completely changed. It's definitely got the character of an old prison. But whenever personally for me, whenever I walk into that brew house and still house area, it's down to serious business, and this is the result of that serious business. So what we're tasting is my attempt to make the best new make possible. I hope you like it. It's triple distilled. It's every step of the way, from grain intake to the settings on the mill to how we go about mashing in and loitering, the clarity of the wort, pitching of the yeast have to come together to make a great whiskey. I can tell you, even when I'm up in the main office, I'm listening out and I'm taking a sniff in every 30 seconds to make sure that I'm not getting any surprises. There is actually, there's a good story. So I've done a few startups in my time, but so I know that you have to pay attention. And in the first initial runs of the still, it changes quite a bit. You go from a new still to the 6th or 8th or 10th run, there's actually quite a change in flavour, just the way the copper performs over those initial heat cycles. And so anyway, we were about 8 or 10 runs in, and I came along, and the spirit still was running, and I did a wee dab, the back of the hand. I was only about 10:30 in the morning, and it was kind of fancy. I'm like, this can't be right. What's going on here? So with a new team, we actually trained a team of folks who'd never distilled before. They all came from process industries, but we trained them to come in and run the plant. And one of the guys had actually turned the steam up a little bit, just a smidgen, but he'd actually done it enough to increase the flow rate on the still. And I don't know if it was luck or judgment that day, but it definitely had taken it to a kind of different flavour character for what I would normally have recognised for that time of day. And this hand went up in the back of the control room. I turned the steam up. Turn it down again. Control yourself. But that's the level of control that's required. We're constantly looking at flow rates, cut points, all those elements. We've got 3 stills, so we cut in the 2nd still and the 3rd still. We only do this by organoleptic, the 3rd cut by organoleptic, even though the computer can do it, we always do it by taste. And hopefully the result is something that's really delicate yet characterful. That's my 2 words that I like to try and describe it. So if you have a nose of it there, it's just got a lovely fresh berry characteristic. I can never avoid the blackcurrant jam. It just comes right out there with that lovely blackcurrant. With a blackcurrant jam, when you open the lid of it, you don't have any of the sweetness. You only have the tart blackcurrant flavour, yeah. So it's the nose of the blackcurrant jam. Just a really lovely fresh liquid, and what it takes to achieve this, it's like a 5-week window in my life. You know, if we start to not ferment our sugars all out correctly, you know, if there's a wee issue in the plant, and then that changes the flavour slightly in the wash still, and then subsequently over the next few batches, that creates some, I wouldn't say off flavours, but undesirable flavours that some people might call funky, you know, need to be matured out. That everything I do is to avoid that situation, you know. So I'll stop the thing and I'll dump the faints if I think it's going off kilter, and hopefully this is the kind of result of that obsessive level of control.
Well, you don't really tell them. You just,
I'll dump. I've never done it,
okay.
but I will do it.
Okay.
If I have to do it, I'll do it, but I've never actually had to do it. We did have a couple of wee niggles. It's quite highly automated, so we had a couple of wee niggles on the commissioning phase where we accidentally filled strong faints into the spirit tank. You know, oops. But we just dumped that tank back into strong faints and redistilled it. That was okay. But it is possible to kind of go off the rails with I think what was a real learning for me, two big learnings for me in the last 3 or 4 years distilling, where I thought I kind of, you know, you always think, okay, I'm on top of this now, and then something else comes along and you're like, oh geez, I didn't think of that. Now I've got to do this other thing. The speed at which you run your wash still is really important, because you can actually unlock some more of those flavour congeners if you're gentle on the wash still. So that's one thing that we do. And another thing is just being really, really obsessive about those cuts and managing your faints. So actually tasting and nosing the faints tanks is important, because if you start to get something off there, then it's a bit of a sign that you could be going down a road. And yes, you can cask the liquid and it can be matured out, but you might be adding 3-5 years to the maturation in order for it to come to a level where you're happy.
Why didn't you choose triple distillation?
I didn't choose it. It was forced upon me. I'm very happy to do triple distilled. McConnell's as a brand, we are owned by a group of American investors. It's got the guys have a laser focus on the brand identity. Triple distilled single malt is a big part of that. Last week I made some double distilled for a wee experiment. I didn't tell anyone. Yeah, it's a secret. It's a secret. YouTube. Didn't bring any take because I want to be invited back. So I thought, keep something in the back pocket. So we did do some double distilled last week, and I mean, it's crazy. It's another. It's totally different. Totally different. I'll not talk about it.
Will you ever do pot still?
Invite me back. We might do. I don't want to wreck the mill. We have a 4-roller mill, you know, and by nature, the friability of malted barley is, you know, it's easy to mill. Yeah, so it's quite easy to break up. You could nearly break it in your fingers. But if you try to mill unmalted barley, it's like stone. So I'm a bit worried about wrecking my mill. So I'm like, I don't really know. And then I think with the technical, I don't know if I'm right on this, with the technical file, I don't know if I'm allowed to bring in milled grain or not. Maybe I am. Yeah, it's going to change. That's what I'm going to say in the public consultation. Graham, there'll be no anonymity. I mean, Graham Miller should be allowed to bring in milled unmalted barley, rye, wheat, and exotic grains, full stop. So
we touched on this when I was up, but you're very precise about what you want to do with this new make.
yes,
Which, of course, is not necessarily going to be the same new make produced by your sourced whiskey.
correct.
So, what are you going to do, having established this kind of core range?
I don't know. I'm going to let the other guys work that out. No, wait. We did. John and I had a conversation about this before we started the distillery up, and I had to make him aware. John, I might not be able to match the liquid that we're currently using. In fact, John, I don't want to match it. I want to be completely free. To which John was like, "Oh God, here he goes. Not again, not the sherry cask bottling again." But again, it's testament to the team at McConnell's. They've allowed me to go off and just. What I've tried to do is let the distillery find its feet a wee bit. A lot of the flavour profile is actually designed in. Maybe not on purpose designed in, but the design and the shape and the size of the stills, the proportions of the stills, the reflux ratios. If you want to try and force a liquid to go outside of that, then you're really not, you're not allowing it to be real, And hopefully what we have here is actually, this is the true representation of liquid that's made right now in Belfast, in the Crumlin Road Jail, on the distillery equipment that we have in place. Those lovely stills that I'm so attached to. And I'm going to start sounding weird. But, it's a real...
It's a really nice liquid, and you should be proud of it.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's really good. Yes, thank you. Yes. So there's no apologies. Again, I think what we've demonstrated in stage 1 of the tasting is that actually the cask does play a fairly big part in the story. So it's my job, primarily as a distiller, to make the best new make that I possibly can. And then it's over to the cask. I've got to entrust that liquid to the cask. And, there's enough unpredictability and variation in the cask maturation to give us, quite likely, a spectrum of flavours of McConnell's liquid in the future, and then we can decide what do we combine the bottle and what do we actually keep as a single, separate flavour profile and go and bottle that.
Do you do the same cut all the time?
By numbers?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Close, but there is a little bit of variation. So we always do it by taste, and it's just when you get to that final step and you do that third distillation. It might be a cooler day. The chill equipment might be just working that wee bit better. I might have been out the day before with my wee pump, charging up the glycol in the cooling system, so everything's singing. So you've got to be able to say, okay, yeah, that's right, cut it now. And it's not that big of a variation, but there is a little bit. But that variation disappears then whenever we go back and sample the month's production.
Right.
And from day to day, we can't really tell a difference from the month's production. And it all goes into a 30,000 litre interspirit tank for casking. So, so anywhere between 10 and 30,000 bulk litres would be cast in one lot. So that takes a little bit of variation out as well. But it's important to us. We're not just a McConnell's distillery. We are a distillery who would like to provide liquid to other blenders and bottlers. And if you want to be in that game, you've got to be able to stand over the consistency of your liquid to the point where someone probably is going to take it and do an HPLC analysis, So that's important. We've got to be absolutely on the line,
Was that big? No, I was just going to say, you said it's going to all be on bourbon casks to start with. So as you make the stuff for your own release is going to be bourbon casks first, and you're going to see how it develops, and then think about what maybe finishes you might do, like with the other also, etc.
Uh-huh.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, good plan.
When you're looking for the new make, are you thinking that it is sweet and it's lovely, like jam, like tropical fruit and as well? Like, are you intentionally going for that note, like the yeast and stuff you're putting in?
Yeah, I use a distiller's yeast. We pitch at a low temperature. There's so many elements of what we do. You know, we're looking at that wort clarity before it comes through from the lighter ton. We try to put the yeast under a wee bit of stress at the start, pitch it low. We've no cooling on our fermenters either, so it just goes whoop, you know, up to 34 or 34 and a half. 34.6. And then we have a 60-hour fermentation as well, so 60 to 66 maximum. So yeah, a lot of the spirit production's in those early hours, and then we get a wee bit of the secondary development. But we're not like, I remember reading an article about craft beer that was made in Navajo moccasins. We're not in that level. We're not just at that level. It's quite an industrial ethos, but still, the flavour comes before the industrial ethos. But if somebody came along to me next month and said, Graham, I want to buy, you know, a significant amount of your new make because I'm going to take it away and mature it, then I'd be able to step up to that, you know. Everything's kind of well grounded, you know. So I'm very aware that I didn't talk about the flavour. I only did the nose. But I think you've all tasted it now, haven't you? But it's gone. It's gone. So the acid test of a new make for me is how long can I play guitar after after 2 new make cocktails, and I've done the world record on this. So no, Christmas party 2025 was. Were you there? I can't remember.
That was the third make cocktail.
Yeah. So I do a noodle on the guitar a bit, and I was supposed to stop playing at 7:30, and I had 2 palomas with this new make, and it was just beautiful. The paloma made with this is fantastic, and so these are lovely. And then started playing my guitar, and Joanne came over and said, "You need to stop now." And I said, "It's not 7:30 yet," and she said, "It's 11:30." Oh, yeah, it's the next day. So yeah, I mean, I really thank you for the kind comments. I'm so proud of this. We're going to get on to the next one now, and you know, it shows what happens afterwards. But to be able to sit in a room with folks like you and others that have given me compliments on this, it means a lot. Means a lot to me. I promise I'm not going to cry. Give me another drink.
What's your average cut when you take it normally?
We actually cut so I'm going to tell you things that are probably, how do I put this? I don't think it really matters because nobody has the same kind of design and stuff, or you know. So our feints will cut, we'll go quite deep on the feints down to about 58 on the second distillation, and then the third, it's a bit tighter because it's really because the ABV tends to ride quite high in that third distillation because the charge of the still is quite strong. We'll maybe cut around minimum ABV would be in 79.5, 80-ish, you know, and that's starting at 84 and a bit maybe. So it's a very narrow window, you know. But even in that narrow window, the flavour changes quite markedly, just due to the nature of ethanol as a solvent for those congeners, you know. So it can taste quite tailsy, even down about 79-ish, you know. You probably wouldn't think that was possible, but it happens, you know. And as I said, we haven't had to throw anything out, which is great. I've never thrown anything out, I think, ever in my career.
No, you just drank that whiskey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes, I confess. So we're on to dram number 5, and this is one that I just happened upon. This is cask 497. So it's the 497th cask that we filled back in 2024. I think it's around September 2024. And this, to me, the softening of the new make and the influence of the cask is really starting to show through now. So we have a really kind of soft, it's a sucrose sweetness, isn't it? Like a brown sugar sweetness on the nose. And you would hardly believe, if you put the one to the next and go back to back, that it's the same stuff, because
Well, you've lost a little bit of the berries.
yes, I was just about to say, where are the berries?
But
Yeah.
it's more butterscotch.
Yes, exactly.
But it is at that cusp, like it's still
Yes,
elements.
yes. But then when we taste, hopefully the berries are going to come back a little bit. So now we're getting that lovely little bit of heat. I don't want to say pot still, but there's a little bit of heat there. There's a wee bit of spiciness there. It's not a pot still spiciness, but it's kind of...
There's a lot of pepper.
Yes, exactly. It's a clean, really clean spice.
Like dark chocolate, that kind of bitter, dark chocolate.
Yes, 85. 85 stuff.
Cocoa.
Yes, exactly. And it's just, I mean, the integration that we're starting to get now at this age, I'm extremely excited about. Now, it is possible for you folks with big, deep pockets to own your own cask. I've got to tell you about that. This is a standard cask, an AB1 standard bourbon. We did put our first 250 away into ex-Wild Turkey select casks, 216 of those, which I brought over straight from Wild Turkey. And we also have some spiral cut casks, 12 of those, and some oh, I'm on TV, I can't say it. There's a bottle of it down in the bar in Sackville. And those folks toast and char their casks as well. Those folks from Louisville, Kentucky. So lovely casks. So it is. If you'd like to talk to me about buying a cask, please do. I bought one the day after I tasted the new make. My wife was extremely pleased. Yeah, she's still driving the Renault 5 for 1979. Yeah.
Is that when the tears started?
Yeah, with the beatings. Which so, yeah, but this to me, this is what it's all about. We're heading down the road now. We've started down the road. We're on our journey. We've done 2 years almost. The softening of the nose, but the retaining of the fruit characters and on the palate, and that spiciness just starting to build in. I'm so happy with this. I think we'll give it 4 years, 5 years, and then see where we're at. But next year, legally, we can be whiskey. So I can guarantee you I'm going to be scouring that warehouse. And if I find something that I think can go in a bottle, we'll do it. So don't. Hope John's not watching. He's like.
Can I ask, so this was cask 700 and...
This is 497.
Sorry, 497.
497.
It's September. So when was your oldest whiskey? If that makes sense.
It just happened to be July the 4th because we're American.
So in theory, this time next year, you could have a 3-year-old.
Yes. Yes. Well, I don't know if I'm being Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day or somebody else. He does it quite well. But lovely, lovely stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully you agree. Okay, now the big guns. I'm going to have another sip before I talk about the big guns. This is pure new make.
This is Paloma, is it? You can bring
This is the Paloma, yeah. I should have brought the guitar, actually. No? We should do heavy metal tastings.
We just make you sing Una Paloma Blanca.
With me, all you get is Motorhead, Metallica, Iron Maiden, maybe a bit of Rory Gallagher. Sorry. It's very focused. Okay, so This is the McConnell's Old Chromac edition.
Encourage people to drink water.
Yes, I think it would be good to have a sip of water, as I just did. So please take my lead on this. It's a good idea to have a drink of water because we've just done, new make and a 22-month-old or 24-month-old liquid. So this is a completely different ball game now because we're in the 20-year-old whiskey now. So whenever we started the business, there came with it a parcel of aged malts, and this is one of those aged malts. It's from 2002, this one. So cast in 2002. I think, based on just taste, it's so hard to know because the history on these casks is really hard to get detail on. If you ask someone, they just kind of go, yeah, yeah, exactly. What distillery was it? But it tastes to me like it was quite carefully curated because it's not too woody. So on a 20-year-old, in my mind anyway, and maybe if you enjoy a lot of Scotch, a 20-year-old is really getting that kind of heavy-hitting wood oak character. This remains light, and I think it must have been transferred out of its first filled bourbon cask as early as maybe 7 years-ish, 7 to 9 years-ish, probably, maybe earlier. But it's really helped to maintain that light spirit character. And what we did with this, at 19 years old, we selected some nice Tawny Port casks, hogsheads. These were like the variation in casks. I ordered the casks, and the purchase order number says 250 litres, and when they arrived, some were 235 and some were 270 and some were 260 and some were, it was all over the place, but they were all delish. So off we went. We did the finish for the summer and a little bit more, 12 months on this one, actually. For this bottling was 12 months. And what we've arrived at, I think, is something that's quite rare, quite unique. It's like a dessert, like peach, raspberry, peach melba kind of character to it. Just a lovely fruity nose, very delicate. I can get the sweetness in the background. There's a little bit of wood in the background, but it's very, very like an underscored note. And this is 55, I think. 48. There's 48. It's 48%. It's if I had a map of the island, and I was doing that. I'm very aware I'm being recorded, and I've probably signed something. So,
if other people were to say,
I wouldn't.
If one could suppose.
Yes.
You can find this.
Yes.
but it's to your point, like the coolie stuff at this point often hasn't been kept very long, which is why it's really winning like the 20 and 21-year-olds. Whereas this
has been well curated. It really has. Somebody has taken a lot of care in the early stages of this to make sure that it doesn't go, off in a whoa. So we bottled it as 6. So we did a baker's dozen of casks with 13 casks, but we bottled each one individually. So they're all individually numbered bottles from individually numbered casks. And there's not that many left. We've sold a whole lot of them, which is great.
We'll probably knock down by 2 casks.
Yeah.
Were all the port casks from the same producer because they were different sizes?
Yes, they were, but they were just not like all over. So I don't know. It must be like some guy who's, I'll use all these staves for. I'll use these staves for this cask, and then I'll make this one narrower. But it's crazy. It's like we mismatched family and stuff. But the flavour was very consistent right across all the casks.
Probably makes racking really hard. If they're all
Oh yeah, and they're at different heights. They're they're all over the shop. Yeah. So I'm selling some nice garden furniture in 2037. Yes, it's just it's a dessert. It really is. It's a whiskey that you can just sit and, after a fine meal, take 3 hours and pour yourself two or three drams. It's beautiful. So I was telling some of the guys about the last tasting I did was in Maloney's in Glasgow, and if I mentioned the word awards, they would just throw stuff at me. But hopefully you're not going to do that because you're very, very cultured, nice people. Not that the Glaswegians have a certain coarse charm to them. This is actually won Irish Whiskey Awards Best Single Cask 20 Years and Younger category, and also World Whiskey Awards. So we're really, really pleased to be in that group, along with Jarlath, to be in that kind of echelon of recognition. It's important to us. I mean, you all know how the Irish Whiskey Awards are curated, again, very well. There's lots of integrity there, and that means a lot to me that's judged in that way. So, yes. So hopefully you're in a good place now. Like me, I'm going to finish this one. I've been going easy because I don't want to start just slabbering up here and getting all slurry and what have you, but I'll finish this one. But it's been a real pleasure, honestly, to talk to you tonight. This is one of the places and one of the groups of people that I really enjoy coming to see. Wynn's Hotel, as I said, I've been coming for 10 years now, maybe 3 or 4 times we've done a presentation here. It's obvious that you all are so passionate about the whiskey and the business and the island, and for us all to be a collective together in this time, it's great. So, Sláinte, folks, enjoy. Cheers.
Just before we say thank you, and just before Matt talks about what's coming up next, normally what we would do is we would do a vote of what was the best one. But because I think this has been so diverse, I want to try something a little bit different. So firstly, between the first two, if you can remember back to the cognac and sherry, let's do a vote between those two. So hands up for cognac. And hands up for sherry. Okay, so sherry won that one, about 2-1. I'm not going to do the new make because I think that's too unfair because they're totally different. But what I want to know is...
Judge the new make against everybody else's.
We'll do that at the end. Just for you. And you might try for a different reason. But I'm also curious as to the 3 on each side. So the cask strength sherry, which was number 3, versus number 6, the significantly more expensive 20-year-old. So hands up for number 3. And hands up for number 6. Wow, it's about even. Which I think is
I've stolen them both.
Testament to what you've done. And now the Graham one. Number 4 against everything else.
What? No way. No.
I think actually 4 and 5 are so different. It's not a fair competition because I think 5 is an amazing whiskey. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, well let's do that then. Let's do the best of the night. Who's number 1 for best of the night? Who's number 2 for best of the night? Who's number 3 for best of the night? Who's number 4 for best of the night? Who's number 5 for best of the night?
Ooh.
Okay, so still number 3. And who's number 6 for best of the night? That is still quite close.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you so much
Thank
for,
you.
for coming down.
Thank you.
Before we close,
I'll briefly let you know, between myself and Niall and Ali and Martin and Brian, who aren't here tonight, we've actually got the next 5 events locked up and settled in. So we will have, in no particular order, we have Lochry coming in to give a tasting of what's coming out in their next Bart's blend. We will have the Irish Rum Society in for a takeover.
Whoa.
What is it? What is this? It's the Irish Whiskey Society. We will have
Barricades.
We have some folks flying in from New Zealand, and they're not just flying in; they're also bringing whiskey from the Thompson Distillery. We will have, hopefully, we're trying to finalise the dates and lineup of TBC. Allegedly, we will have Michelin Sun, spot whiskies with wines. If we can get the location.
Tara zoomed in for that.
Zoom in right in my so we'll hopefully have that one off-site at their vaults location. You know, yeah.
Oh, that's a nice
Be
one.
honorary member.
Thank my God,
Oh, honey, we take sign-ups.
we also have Ali has done some really good work into the President's tasting, which is still to be like finalized, but I've seen some of the lineups. It looks very, very good. So we have some great tastings, and we've got some good ideas for next year as well. So obviously, if everyone wants to help out, you can take your hands, you can put your hands on a tasting, and always we're looking for new members of the events team to help us out. So if you do want to have an idea of, like, I want to do something next year, whether it's with a specific theme or a specific distillery, we're always looking for new members to help us out. So
Or
Just
if
efforts.
you don't want to do that and you have an idea for a tasting that you would like to see, we also will accept.
Tonight I've got a location to do a, Jeff's pointing at me, to do a cocktail event.
Oh.
So I'm going to have to source that venue, because the venue is the hardest part for making cocktails. So if I can get that, we have a cocktail
What about that
making
bathroom?
class. We'll just drive up to Belfast. It could work.
We'll put a coach. We'll
That
get
is
a
something
coach.
that I've wanted to do for a while. So if we can get that, that'll also be happening in the next couple of months. But other than that, a round of applause.
Thank you.